UCLA is a university with unlimited possibilities for students that desire world-class academics and research, unmatched diversity, incredible cultural and social opportunities, successful alumni and career networking, first-class campus facilities, plus America's top intercollegiate sports teams. Located in Westwood, just a few miles from the Pacific Ocean, UCLA's 1 square mile campus is surrounded by famous cities such as Bel Air, Beverly Hills, Brentwood, and Santa Monica.
Welcome to UCLA Bruin Talk. I'm Ralph Irvin. Coming up on today's show, we're going to take a look at a couple of new Bruins. Not players, we've got new head coaches as we look at men's track and field and men's water polo.
UCLA is having a lot of exciting events. Let's take a look.
Mike Maynard is the new head track and field coach for the men's side here at UCLA. Before coming to Westwood, he spent the last 9 years at Boise State as their director of track and field, as well as the coach for all the throwers. Coming into UCLA now, he will also oversee the throwers as well as be the men's coach. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And welcome to Los Angeles. How are you liking it so far?
I love it. You know, I went to school here in the 80s and I'm happy to be back.
Now, what are your expectations immediately coming in, taking over the reins of the men's track and field team?
Well, we want to follow through with the tradition of track and field here at UCLA, and you know, the Bruins have a great legacy of success, and we want to follow through and meet those expectations.
Talking about that legacy, you happen to be the 6th UCLA track coach in all of the history of UCLA. Is there any extra added pressure to succeed?
You know what? If you can't be the first, you should be the best. So my goal is to be the best, if possible, and that's you know, that's no easy expectation to reach, but that's certainly what I would like to do by the end of my career.
Last year, Boise State, you led the Broncos to the WAC Indoor Championship. Had a successful season. How does that help translating to this year's team with the new school?
Well, you know, there's a lot of great things about Boise State and my experience there. You know, I was in the Pac-10 for 13 years before going to Boise, so I had a different level of resources. Being at Boise for the 9 years, and last year included, kind of showed me how to deal with maybe slightly fewer resources,
okay.
You know, a little leaner, meaner program, but you really kind of focus on what's important in building a team and creating success.
I would imagine that in having a leaner program, it allows you to maybe take advantage of some of the resources that are here and set them aside until you really need them, or use them as incentives or what have you for the athletes.
I think that particularly in the economic climate that we're in right now in California, I come into a program with the resources and assets that are available to UCLA track and field, and to me it's an expansion of what I've had, and so I feel able to definitely create success out of that, whereas some people might come in from a program of a similar quality and feel like the belt has been tightened too much. That's not to say I won't enjoy letting the belt out a few notches when the economy returns, but I think that we definitely can run a more efficient program because of that.
Okay.
New coaches means new relationships. How are you building a strong bond?
Well, from day one, I've really sought to build relationships, rebuild bridges, and build relationships with former Bruins, you know, the alum, track and field, and in the community. So daily, I've been making calls and going out and having lunch and having dinner with you know, people who are important to UCLA athletics and specifically UCLA track and field. I've had the opportunity to sit and have a nice meal with Coach Bob Larson and Coach Bush, and struck up a great relationship with those guys. And then I've kind of been reaching out into the blue and gold alumni.
Well, I would imagine that there's just such great resources in terms of the former athletes that have competed. I mean, there's just such a strong tradition at UCLA.
There really is, and I think that the exceptional thing about this program and its alumni is that you've got 12, 15 million people here nearby, and there's a whole lot of blue and gold around here, so there's great opportunities to build relationships.
Well, and talk about the tradition, there is also a fantastic tradition of great throwers here at UCLA. Shot, discus, hammer, javelin, all of them, that's your specialty. It must be exciting to go and really reignite that passion for throwing here.
Yeah, it is. You know, Art Venegas has done such a phenomenal job with throws over the years as he was here, and you know, I don't want to take away from that at any point. I want to just build on that. Those are some broad shoulders that I'm standing on. You know, John Godina, John Brenner, just to name a few, Don Dumble, Seilala Sua. All of those people are just great, great parts of the Bruin legacy and tradition of success. I certainly intend to build upon that and honor their legacy.
I would imagine they'd also be interested in coming and just offering advice as an appearance sort of thing to current athletes, because again, they want to see that tradition continue.
Well, I'm sure they do. As Bruins, you know, they're always blue and gold, and I'm sure that they'll, you know, continue to be related in the program, and we'll certainly honor their efforts, and we want to draw them in. We want all the Bruins back.
You used to serve as a strength and conditioning coach. How does this help in the training regimen of the track athletes?
Well, I think that one of the things is, as a head coach, understanding the scientific basis of training pedagogy and the methods, the progressions, is all something that's very important. You know, I've had the opportunity as a strength and conditioning coach, I had the opportunity to work with football players, basketball players, tennis, golf, swimming, track, from the sprints all the way through the distances. So I think that broad background really helps me kind of understand the demands and the needs for the student athletes I'm dealing with.
Yeah, I would imagine that's an area where, I mean, you talk about expanded resources for you. The new athletic performance program here is just leaps and years, I'm sure, above what you've had to work with.
It is. It's great. You know, the one nice thing about strength training is if you just have a bar and some weights and you work hard, you can get it. But the resources that are available here, I've met with Mike Lynn and his staff, and they're spectacular in their qualifications and their energy. And I just think that that's such an important part of what I'm going to try to build as a team here, and we really want to kind of integrate all of the aspects of the team together to really make that a strong, strong bond relationally, and then take advantage of all of those resources that the strength and conditioning staff have.
Now, when you were in school at Azusa Pacific, you were a thrower as well.
Yes, I was.
What was your event?
I was a hammer thrower, shot putter, and discus thrower.
Okay, and what was your best one, though?
You know, I actually threw my lifetime PR in the hammer of 231.7 against the Bruins and beat them. So.
Now, could you have imagined that you would go from throwing hammer, discus, shot to becoming a track and field coach?
No, you know, I never intended to be a coach. I coached at a school like Azusa Pacific. It's smaller, so there's not a lot of coaches and a lot of coverage. So. Right. You know, I'd finish up with my workout, and my coach would ask me to help some people. I don't know why he chose me, he just did, and I would help out people on the team. And when I finished, it was actually the day of my graduation. I was offered a job at Long Beach State as a D1 coach, and I said no. I said, no, I'm not a coach. And the guy that offered me the job said, that's not what your coach says. He says, you're definitely a coach. It took me a year or so to finally realize, but then I was offered a job at Arizona, and they offered to pay for my law school, and I ended up.
That works out well?
It did, but I ended up not going to law school because I got in too late. I went home, I was married, and I said, honey, I know you think you married a lawyer, but I think I'm a coach. She said, no, I didn't marry a lawyer, I married you, and whatever you want to do, that's great, and I'm happy. And it's been a great decision.
Wow.
Wow, that's a great story. If you could build a perfect thrower, what attributes would you want that thrower to have?
Well, I'd like them to be the size of Shaquille O'Neal, as fast as Usain Bolt, be able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. You know, really they have to be big and very quick and athletic, and that means that just being strong doesn't do it. You have to be very, very subtle in your movement patterns. There's a lot of technique in the throws, and so it requires a great deal. You know, we see these great throwers, and they just look like these big behemoths, but they're really spectacularly graceful. And so you have to have a good combination of that size, speed, and then have the athletic grace.
Well, and what people may not realize, because they see, especially shot and discus throwers, that they are big and bulky, they don't realize that to be successful in those events, you have to use muscles from every part of your body.
Right. You have to sprint, you have to jump, you have to be able to, you can't just be upper body dominant, you have to have great legs, and so there's a lot of aspects to the training and to the requirements that the athletes have.
Now, the Bruins have not won an NCAA men's title since 1988. Is that something that's been brought up to you as far as expectations looking to win?
Well, you know, I don't know if it's been overtly brought up to me, but when I came on my interview, they walked me through the trophy room. So, you know, if I'm ever wondering what my job is, all I need to do is grab my coaching staff and walk downstairs to the Hall of Fame and look in the trophy room at that 100+ trophies. And I think it's fairly evident what the expectations are.
Is that just an environment that just makes this job so unlike any other?
Absolutely. You know what? I've always been a little bit of an overachiever, and I love it that that expectation is there, because often I felt if people didn't expect as much of me as I did internally, that they didn't think much of me. And to have the opportunity, the validation of a place like UCLA to not only choose me as the head coach, but then allow me to share in those expectations. I don't feel a burden of those expectations. I feel, you know, almost like a sail, and that's the wind that pushes a sail. So I love it.
Well, I would guess that falls in line with the resources like you're talking about, is that there are certain resources that you budget for, and there are certain resources that you have in terms of maybe weather, but this is a totally different resource that you can tap into, not just from the tradition and history, but from other coaches that are on the different staffs.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I mean, going back to Coach Wooden and even the people on the staff now, I met Sue Inquist, and she's just such a dynamic person. And, you know, as I've kind of gone through the coaching staff and meet those individuals who are past and current, it's such a great, it's an intangible resource, but it's certainly a resource.
Is it exciting for you that you see Drake Stadium as it is right now, being worked on, the track being rehabbed, I mean, everything just being done, so it's going to be a new experience for you?
It is kind of a new beginning, isn't it? It's very exciting. But, you know, Drake Stadium is one of the finest facilities in the country. Doesn't mean it can't get better, but it's one of the finest. It's just always been a great place competitively, and so I'm excited to have that be my home stadium.
I would imagine so. It's not exactly that you're going to be hurting for places for people to go see it, right?
Yeah, I think we have enough seating. Yeah.
Well, Coach Mike Maynard, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I want to thank Coach Mike Maynard for joining us here in UCLA Bruin Talk. Coming up, we're going to hit the pool as we talk men's water polo. We'll be joined by their new coach, Adam Wright, as well as attacker Scott Davidson. It's all right ahead right here on UCLA Bruin Talk.
After these public service announcements.
A trophy can be made just about anywhere. But there's one place where champions are made. UCLA, champions made here.
Welcome back to UCLA Bruin Talk. Coming up, we're going to hit the pool and talk men's water polo. But first, Javrina has this week's Athlete of the Week.
This week, we honor Sydney Leroux of women's soccer as our Athlete of the Week. As a freshman in 2008, she started 18 matches before competing for the U.S. in the FIFA Under-20 World Championships and earned an All Pac-10 honors. She was also awarded the Golden Ball and the Golden Shoe for her play and point total, respectively, in the FIFA Under-20 Championships in Chile. Since then, she has only continued to impress, being named to the Missouri Athletic Club's National Trophy Watch List, the highest individual honor in intercollegiate soccer. As Sydney is only a sophomore, we hope to watch her continued excellence as the team looks to start its new season. Congratulations, Sydney, and good luck to the rest of the team. If you would like additional information about UCLA athletics, you can call our fan phone line at 310-825-8575, or you can visit us on our website at www.uclabruins.com.
And water polo is where we're going today, and we're joined by the new water polo coach in his first season, just about to get started. That's Adam Wright. Adam is a 2000 graduate of UCLA. Was also a member of the U.S. Olympic teams in 2004, where the team finished 7th, in 2008, where they earned a silver medal. He's also played professionally overseas. And we're also joined by Scott Davidson, who's a senior attacker for the men's water polo team, scored a second high on the team, 34 goals last year, started 23 of 24 matches. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Coach, first start off, congratulations on getting the coaching job. It's got to be exciting for you to come back and take over the reins of your alma mater.
Yeah, you know, it's been a hectic last 3 weeks here. I'm adjusting, being in this position. It's great having an assistant like Adam. I don't know if there's an assistant out there with his credentials, but I'm glad to be back here at home. You know, the program has a long history with all the way back to Bob Horn and Guy Baker, and then of course Adam, who's now my assistant. And I'm excited. It should be an interesting year for us.
I would imagine that the idea of becoming the head coach at UCLA is something that you couldn't really imagine for quite a while, and then it just makes itself appear.
Yeah, you know, I thought about it a long time. I thought I always wanted to be a coach growing up, and I've been around the world, and I've watched all the top coaches, and you know, I always thought to myself, man, it would be great if I get to UCLA. I didn't think it would happen this fast. The opportunity came up. Like you said, it's here. And I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Former head coach Adam Krikorian, who is now your assistant, what role is he going to play in coaching the team this year?
You know, just like last year when he was the head coach, we have a very open, good relationship, and we challenge each other. And if one person thinks something isn't going to work that well, you know, they challenge it. And that's the great thing, is we have a strong trust. You know, Adam, the one thing I love about him is he has his heart in the right place for this university and the guys on the team. What a resource I have for, you know, if I have questions, you know, there's things in the game where I might have to question him. But pretty much, you know, it's the same thing. You know, it's our team, and we're looking at what's best for the guys and what we think is going to work best for the program.
And Scott, I'd imagine that it's kind of unusual that you kind of have a flip in terms of the coaches, that one's the head guy and one's the assistant. Now it's kind of the other way around.
Yeah, it's a little different because the last 4 years it's been AK like the whole time, and now it's Adam Wright, but it's a good transition. It's helped a lot in the last 3 weeks.
And Coach, you've got coaching and playing experience at every level, and I wonder how much does that playing experience really help in coaching this team?
Well, you know, that was one of the things, you know, I said to UCLA, you know, if I could give these kids, if they want it, the opportunities, and not that I've had the greatest opportunities, but I feel like I've been fortunate enough to have these opportunities, and I feel like playing at the highest level, seeing it at the highest level from the best coaches in the world, I feel it gives me a little bit of an advantage, and you know, I really would like to translate that back into the pool here at UCLA. So yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be at every level, and hopefully, you know, I could turn that into something positive here.
Scott, how does your coach's experience help you improve as a player individually?
Playing at the international level is obviously the highest you can be, and with 4 years or plus, you know, so many years experience over there, he's like showing us like anything he can, and all those things that he's learned over there, which Adam, like as AK as a head coach, has like coached, but he hasn't played at that level.
Well, and I imagine that there are just small, subtle techniques that may not have even been aware of, and it's just how you carry a ball, how you carry yourself in, you know, getting a shot off, anything like that that can really improve your stats.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things like that that help, that, you know, just ways you do things, and like the position you put your hips in, and like how you like go against on defense. So
playing in the pool, it is very much a team game, offensively and defensively, because offensively you've got to know where every guy is without looking. I mean, you're in the water, so how well you're going to be able to see is probably up in the air as is. How important is it for you to build a bond with the players on the team to know where they're going to be at every given time?
You know, I think that's probably the most important aspect of my job, is creating a team chemistry that everybody believes in each other, has a feel for where each other is in the pool. You know, if somebody messes up and makes a mistake, which happens in team sports, somebody's there to cover them. And that's one of the toughest things, and especially this year, we're going to have a group of older guys and younger guys, and you know, it really goes back to the little things outside of the pool that create a good, strong bond with the guys, and the things in the pool. And you know, there's days where I'm very demanding, and I think the most important thing is everybody knows that no one person on this team is more important than the actual team. Everybody needs the team. We don't need one individual. So trying to create that chemistry with the guys.
Scott, you're an attacker. So is your training regiment different than other position players on the team?
Yeah, like obviously we're different than the goalies, but with other positions, you know, they do a lot more legs and conditioning that way, whereas we're like built to try and be more like speed and attack based and like quick in the water. So like that's mostly the biggest change.
How have your workouts gone throughout the summer?
They've been fun and a little rough at times, but yeah, the last 3 weeks have been definitely much different than years in the past, but it's good.
I imagine that coach bringing in that former player mentality of really pushing you at probably a pace that maybe you haven't seen before in water polo.
Yeah, definitely never seen it before, but it's good. It's helping a lot.
The coach, team is loaded with a lot of young players, you said, a lot of freshmen. How do you get them to mesh, and how do you get them to really mature into being college students so that when classes do start that it doesn't affect them?
Yeah, you know, it's going to be tough because, you know, we just got started as a group. You know, the freshmen can't come in until about 2.5 weeks ago, just because of rules, and you can't be outside of the area and stuff. So we got to work quickly here. I think we're going to grow as a team throughout the year. It's going to be important how we learn from our mistakes as a group. You know, also, you know, one thing I'm getting used to that I, you know, kind of forgot when I was in school. You know, the most important thing you learn probably in college is your time management. You know, and with you know, it's school first, athlete second here, because as we know, water polo is a small sport. It's not gonna, you can't retire off water polo, but so it is important. And you know, it's important. This is an important step and stage in the guys' lives here. This is where they develop as people outside the pool and as athletes, and you know, and I got to keep that all in, you know, perspective. So you know, the balance thing is going to be something that the guys have to work on, and I have to work on with them.
And one benefit that you have, though, is the fact that school is not in session, so you are able to at least focus on getting them ready for the early matches.
Yeah, I would like to think that's an advantage for, you know, schools that are on the quarter system. You know, during these, if you want to call it Hell Week or whatever, the double day period that they call it, you know, it would be tough to do this amount of, you know, this kind of workload and try to study. So yeah, I think it's good. All we got to do is concentrate on water polo, eat and sleep. And it's definitely, I feel, a little bit of an advantage for us compared to other schools.
Coach, what are your team goals for this season?
You know, it's going to be, you know, like I said before, it's going to be we have a lot to learn still as a group. You know, my goal is to put this team in a position mentally and physically to have a chance to win every game. And I think if we are in that position, we could be really successful. You know, there's some teams out there that, you know, they're returning a lot of guys, and they've been successful the last 2 or 3 years. But I'm confident if we keep growing and progressing the way we have over the last 3 weeks, we can challenge those teams. You know, and it's one game at the end of the year, and it's our job, Adam and my job, to get these guys mentally prepared and physically prepared. And I think we'll be all right. And you know, obviously the goal is every year is put ourselves in a position to, you know, be the at-large, you know, win the outright. Because, you know, as you know, there's only 2 teams. One goes from the conference tournament, and one's the outright winner of the season. So, you know, everybody should be shooting to be the outright winner of the season. That's our goal right now.
Right.
And you're actually going to a tournament in Princeton. Can you please describe the importance of this tournament?
You know, when Adam and I look back on this tournament, we thought it'd be a good idea. We got 3 freshmen back like 4 days ago from the Junior World Championships, and this is a good tournament for us to start feeling things out between the, you know, the guys and looking at different lineups. It's not going to be easy. We actually are going to be on TV the first night back in Princeton on ESPN, and that's not going to be an easy game. You know, I'll make sure, and Adam and I will make sure that the guys are aware that this game will be harder than you think. I think Princeton's actually a good team. And then we play 2 games Saturday and 2 games Sunday, where I think it's going to be good. We're going to get to see a lot of different rotations and, you know, guys getting used to playing with each other.
Well, and of course, the fact that you come in wearing the 4 letters of UCLA, you're going to get everyone's best game, especially when it's at a conference and across the country.
Yeah, and that's something I think that we've got to be ready for. Our older guys have got to be ready for, because we do have younger guys on the team that haven't experienced this. You know, when you're at UCLA, you have a big target on your back. But you know, we're looking forward to that challenge. You know, we're a new group, and I think you know, other teams have a target on their back that have been in the NC2As the last 2 or 3 years, and we're going to be ready though when it comes time to it.
And Scott, when you talk about, you know, bringing the freshmen up and getting them ready, how important is it for the seniors to be able to do that, to express just how much being UCLA means that people focus on you?
Yeah, we just need to like show the freshmen how important it is, like to go into each game thinking like this game matters and how much like every game like matters, because like one loss on your record can go towards that like at-large bid. We just need to stress and show them that like this is way different than it was in high school.
Now, we mentioned the team goals. Do you have any personal goals for your performance this year?
Just to do well as a team. I mean, it's a team sport. Like individual accolades don't really matter to me at all.
The team message is getting through, isn't it? One other question I had for you, Coach, it's got to be exciting for you when you think about coaching, that you look at, okay, the 2 predecessors with men's water polo at UCLA, they kind of keep moving up that ladder. I mean, is that something that ultimately you'd love to just keep growing as a coach, or you pretty much just happy to be at UCLA?
Well, right now I have a lot on my plate here, but you know, I think every coach's goal should, you know, you should try to get to the highest level you possibly can. But right now, I mean, I'm committed here. You know, there's a lot already on my plate here. There's not time to be worrying about the next 5 years, 10 years of my life. So right now, we'll take one step at a time here, starting on Thursday.
All right.
Head off to Princeton.
Cool. Coach Adam Wright, Scott Davidson, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to thank Adam and Scott for joining us here on UCLA Bruin Talk. Also want to thank the new men's track coach, Mike Maynard, who was on with us earlier. For Javrina Sefrai, I'm Ralph Irvin. Thank you for joining us for UCLA Bruin Talk, your inside look into the UCLA Bruin athletics.